what we'll do first is we'll just go around quickly, and if you'll just introduce yourself and maybe say where you're from, because I know we have some people that have traveled pretty far. So we'll do that quickly, and then we'll get started. So we'll start right here.
Donna from Sumner County. We travel how far? An hour. We're hours.
I'm Tiffany. I teach in Sumner County. We live in Hendersonville, so we only travel maybe an hour.
I'm Laura. I'm also from Sumner County, and I teach with her.
I'm Sharon. I'm originally from New York, but I live in Huntsville right now, and I travel 2.5 hours.
Wow.
I'm Kathy. I'm originally from St. Louis, but I live in Wilson County and teach in Davidson County at Cambridge.
Sandy May, teach kindergarten. Was down here at Port Campbell for 17 years, now in New York. Just traveled here last night on vacation. And hopefully we'll be back next year. If someone moves and has a job opening. Not that I want you to go.
I know. I'm Julie Davis, originally from Georgia, but military life brought me to Fort Campbell.
I'm Susan. I'm a metro teacher from California and living in Nashville now.
I'm Katie Dawson. I'm going to teach second grade this year in Williamson County at Trinity Elementary.
I'm Rachel. I'm from New York originally. I live in Gallatin, and I'm teaching in Sumner County. Where? In Sumner County? Venus Stewart. Venus Stewart.
Kindergarten?
Yes. My first year.
Yay! Math training?
Yes.
I'm Heather Ashley. I'm originally from Detroit. I live in Hendersonville, but I'll be teaching at Venice Stewart as well.
I'm Kelly. I live in Somerset, Kentucky, and I teach kindergarten. I'm Kaylin. I teach kindergarten in Owensboro, Kentucky, which is about 2 hours away.
I'm Starla. I teach kindergarten at Madonna Elementary School. It's right outside of Jackson, so I drive about 2.5 hours.
I'm Angie. I teach in Sumner County in Goodensville at Madison Creek Elementary.
I'm Kimberly Hayes, and I teach kindergarten at Madison Creek with Angie. Stacy Barnett, and I teach first grade at Madison Creek.
I'm Chelsea. I'm from Gallatin, and I teach at Portland at Walt Hardison Elementary.
So Starla was one of the very first people to ever come and visit my classroom. Was it last year or 2 years ago?
Last year, well,
It's been
I've been twice, so the past 2 years.
So she was one of the very first people who ever came and actually sat in my classroom and watched the chaos that goes on. All right, so we'll go and get started. The way it worked last time, and I thought it went pretty well, was I'll just kind of throw some topics out there, and then just start sharing ideas and just talking. I got lots of good feedback from the last video. People said they were getting a lot of good ideas, so we'll just share out ideas, and we'll go for about an hour, and about 7:30 we'll wrap it up, and then we've got a couple of surprises for you at 7:30. So it's that time of year, it's back to school, so several people wrote down the first day. So let's talk about maybe some activities that you do on the very first day of school with your kids, and I'll start with one. I always introduce every supply that we use. So I'll start with a pencil, and I'll go through like, what do we do with a pencil? How do we use a pencil? I'll even break a pencil in front of the kids, and we talk about how that's not okay. Then I'll move on to crayons, and I'll do the same thing with the crayons. And oh no, he's fine. So I'll talk about crayons, how to use them, what we color on. You know, we don't color on our friends, we don't color on the walls, ourselves. We don't eat the crayons. And then I have a picture of a soccer ball, and I use the document camera, and the first thing I do is I scribble all over, and then we talk about how that's not okay. And then I get the kids to tell me how I should color, and then I color the soccer ball, the different sections of the soccer ball, different colors, and model how to color, and then I let the kids have a picture of the soccer ball, and then they get to color. So that's one of our very first activities. I really like the soccer ball because it has all the different sections, so they're getting to use more colors, and it's good practice for them to stay in the lines. So that's one of my first activities.
The first thing I do is I talk about the bathroom. And the lady that does kindergartenworks.com actually has a social story
It's not really a social story, but it's a book that she made herself about going to the bathroom, and it actually has pictures. It has pictures up, and it actually goes all the way down to knocking on the door, waiting your turn, flushing the toilet. And that's the very first thing I talk about. And then I introduce the spider that we all know and love that Greg has talked about. But that's usually one of the first things that kindergartners want to know. They want to know when they're going to go outside and play, and then they want to know where the bathroom is because they're 5 and they need to potty a lot. So we do that social, I think all of us essentially do that little book, and it's free on kindergartenworks.com if you just look under her freebies and look in back to school. And you can actually make it your own. It's editable, but hers is just fine.
It's precious.
And it's precious.
And the
it
kids
goes
laugh the
over.
whole way through because it shows them the right way and the wrong way.
And there's trash on the floor. Do you put your trash? Do you not wash your hands? I mean, she goes into the hard stuff of what we know that happens in reality of kindergarten.
I know we have to do fire drill because for the past 3 years, we've had a fire drill.
On the first day.
Yes. That's wonderful.
That's
In the
wonderful.
morning, and in the morning too, nevertheless. Yeah, they don't tell us, they just kind of appear and they'll sneak where they park the fire truck.
Doesn't it scare?
And walk in. Actually, I address it immediately. And a lot of them have been pre-K or the daycare center, so they know. And when it goes off, you kind of quickly gauge it and you grab those certain ones. And we don't have a fire alarm in our school or in our classroom. So if our doors close, the music, we actually kind of don't hear it. It's in the hallway. Yeah, there's been classes that kind of missed it. But the one thing we have, and it's consistent, we all go to the gymnasium because it's a separate building. So you can just follow the flow of traffic, and if a kid gets lost, eventually get there. But we have to do fire drill. I hate doing it the first day. It's almost, before I introduce myself, here are the fire drill rules. Because it has been like 10 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, so, but they usually do well. If they surprise you. Things you don't think they're going to do well, they do well. The stuff you think, not a problem, they blow it. So, but yeah, they do well. And I let them cover their ears. And those that need extra help, one over the shoulder, grab the neck, and let's go.
Right.
One of the things I do one of the first few days, it may not be the first one, there's a book that I found, it's an oldie but a goodie, and it's called Mommy in My Pocket. Because a lot of the kids have anxiety about starting school and they're nervous and they don't want to leave their mom. And you can tell, talk about how they are worried about missing their mom, that kind of thing. It's a bunny rabbit. And she actually gets to put her mommy in her pocket. And so her mommy's everywhere with her. And then I make a little pocket necklace and they put a little bunny in it. It's just to make them think about their mom. So anyway, it's really old. I had to get it on Amazon. It came from a Goodwill. So it's
different.
yeah, they don't know. Yes, exactly. Which I love it too.
I do something called a talking ball. It's just this big fuzzy yarn ball, and it's a way to introduce ourselves. So anyone who's holding the talking ball gets to say a little bit about themselves, if they have siblings, what their favorite food is, anything like that. And I tell the children if they don't want to say anything, you just have to pick up the ball and say, "Hi, my name is Sharon," and then you can roll it to someone else. And in that way, they roll it all around the room, and it just gives them a quiet chance to introduce themselves. And then every time I get a new student, we bring out the talking ball. So it becomes like a fun thing. So those children that never said anything at the beginning, after the first month, they say something more. And if I get a student in March, they're just babbling on and on. And then also I do Who Stole a Cookie from the Cookie Jar. I sing that song. I do that every day, or maybe twice a day if I'm feeling it, for the first week or two. Because it's a great way for the kids to learn their names.
I actually share my kindergarten or first grade picture and tell them what it was like when I went to school. And I have my report cards, and I'll go over my report card and learn that I was a little bit of a talker. Very shocked. And then I have a little cookbook that I made in first grade too that I share. So here was some of my work that I made. So just to kind of relate back with you.
In second grade this year, I'm planning on having the kids make predictions as to the different areas in the classroom to get them involved, and we're going to brainstorm and list what it is they think they might do in that area, what they could do in that area, similar to what you were saying about your supplies and things like that. And so we'll have those up, and so across the first week of school, because once we have a half-day Friday, then that next full week is a full week. As we're learning about the classroom and introducing those different areas, that will be
kind of to see if they can see if they got it right or if there's something new I never thought about. So that's kind of a fun way to bring their thinking into the environment piece of it too. So.
We do the book We're Going on a Bear Hunt, and we have little bear paws all around the important places in the school, like the cafeteria, the gym, music room, art room, and at the end, they go outside to our picnic tables, and we have all these stuffed animal bears and Teddy Grahams and waters, and we have a bear picnic with all of them.
We do the same thing, but we do Pete the Cat. And we read one of the Pete the Cat books, and we try to find Pete the Cat all over the school.
I think it was differentiating kindergarten. Just recently on her blog post, posted something about if you take a mouse to school, but you actually take pictures of the teachers and then you read that as a book. I thought that was a really neat idea too.
We're already planning it. I'm doing it with my principal. We're got it at Kohl's, and we're doing the book when we get back next week, matter of fact. Someone else had it too. I think Kim Allison had it in one of her workshops. They had done it.
I think that.
We do a monster, so we go around and hunt for the monster, and then when we get back to the classroom, the kids get to make their own monster. So that's kind of our first little art project, so we talk about scissors and stuff like that.
I think this year we're supposed to be doing the kissing hand. We've done Pete the Cat for 2 years, and some of us are kind of tired of it. So we're changing up. I think we're going to do the kissing hand.
Greg, do you have the monster glue?
No.
I have it in the car actually. There's a monster glue where they have to glue a dot, and they teach that, and then I let them put glitter on it.
Oh.
So.
When you leave here tonight, you may have glitter on you. It's everywhere in the house, so don't be alarmed.
Anybody else have any more activities for the first day?
I do something I actually got from her, but she doesn't. It's with No David, but it's a peacemaker and a peacebreaker. And we made the posters, but then we have everything's on Velcro, so they can talk about it, and then they get to decide and stick it on which one. But it takes a little while, and it can incorporate many different things. Same story, same things. So it's nice to come up with ideas. And that's on Pinterest. Like you type in Pinterest, it's No David Peacemaker and Peacebreaker.
It's on Julie Lee's blog.
Okay, yeah, I don't know originally where it came from.
What did we do before Pinterest?
Or
Teachers
Google.
pay teachers.
Or Google, right?
Yeah, I don't think.
On the kissing hand, I don't know if you've seen this or not. There's an activity where you can send home a letter on the kissing hand and ask the parents to send in a picture and a letter to their child saying, about have a good year and everything else. Then I send construction paper home and allow us to do it, and everybody in the family, including the animals, trace their hands, and then we glued all the book and put in a class book with all that stuff. With all the letters, like, have a great year, I know you're going to do wonderful, make new friends.
It's kind of like what you do with the puzzle pieces too, right?
Yeah. We do.
With the kissing hand.
We do Hopes and Dreams. I read that book, Big Plans, which apparently is out of print. But when I bought it like 4 years ago, it was a brand new book. Like it's selling for $60 on Amazon. So if anybody wants to buy mine, I'll sell it for $65. And then I have free shipping. Yes. I have the kids tell me what their hopes and dreams are for kindergarten, and write it on a circle map. And then the next day we put it in sentence form. So I have them pick their most important one, and I put it on a puzzle piece. Then I have the parents write a letter expressing their hopes and dreams for the kids in kindergarten. And then I put that on a puzzle piece, and so every kid has a completed puzzle piece. And then I make a big puzzle on our door, and it stays up all year. And for the kids whose parents don't send in a letter, I always write hopes and dreams for that kid. And I actually use that circle map. I keep it, and I refer to it throughout the year, and kind of try to make sure we get as much of that in as possible. Like last year, I had a little boy wanted to learn how to ride a pig. And I really wanted to get a real pig, but I couldn't, so I got a big stuffed pig, and we got to ride him around the classroom. So it lets them know that they're valued and they're important, and so I try to do as much of that as I can.
Yeah. And it's neat because when we do the letters and notes for home, we'll actually get up and read all of them in front of the class after they put the book together, and they love it. And of course you get a few like that, and I just send it home 10 times, or that one time I see in the hallway, come here. but they love it. They're like, there's me, there's me.
And I love the idea of tracing their hands. I think that's really cute.
And they'll stack, and it's neat how they'll do it, because the parents will compile it. I send the paper home, and they'll stack them on top of each other, and we always say pets are included too. And we get little bubbles for the fish or whatever.
I send these home at open house. They're little plates. And when I saw these at the store, these bird plates, they remind me of picture frames. And so I send each kid one, and then this is mine from last year. But then they do a family photo, and then when they're talking about their cousin or their brother who's so big, and you go and he's maybe 8, when you look at the picture, because they don't know, age. So, and then it goes on a board that says we love family, and this stays up all year long with their family photos. And like I've had kids that have to during the day take it down and hold it, and then I just pull it back up. And this is one of the first things we do, and then we talk about who's in the picture and where are they at in the picture, and it.
Anybody else? All right, so let's keep up with that beginning of the year theme, and let's talk about names. Let's maybe share some ideas that you use for teaching names and working with names at the beginning of the year, because we know how important that is in kindergarten. So anybody have any great ideas, fun activities for names?
One thing I do, besides Chicka Chicka Boom Boom and graphing and all, chrysanthemum, all those fun things we do, is each child is my room's Tinkerbell, so it's either the Tink, Lucky Tink, or Lucky Pirate. So we get pom-poms out, and we cheer their name, and we spell it. I write it across the board. We count how many letters are in their name. We talk about even Stephen, not Todd, kind of introduce that. And then they draw a picture for their friend, and they write their name, and they write their friend's name, and then it's a book for them to take home. So
we do something similar to that. We call it Razzle Dazzle, and to kind of help them all learn each other's names, we pick one student a day, and we've sent home like a little baggie at the beginning of the year, and they have to bring in 3 or 4 things that just tell something important about themselves, and they get to go up to the front and share the picture of their family, their favorite toy, a color pencil, their favorite color is pink. And then every kid in the classroom, we do a directed drawing, and I'm at the board drawing, and they're doing what I'm doing. And we even go down to what color are they wearing, try to introduce the colors, kind of do the shapes as we're drawing. And then we take all those, and they're just little half sheets of paper, put them all in a little book, and they get to take it home and be like, look what all my friends drew. And they'll write little, like, I heart you, and it's really sweet.
A teacher I worked with last year in kindergarten, I really liked, she did the, vowels one color and then the consonants another, but she had it written out for the kids, and then they got a strip of paper, and for the fine motor, it was also kind of info for her on that, in that way as well, but they would do little tear pieces and then glue, was part of the gluing lesson as well, but they would tear, and they would keep that up all year. That would be out in the hall, and their work would then go with it, but I really liked that she incorporated that fine motor piece of tearing it, and then she had it traced on. They just had to glue it on. But again, that one-to-one and tearing and lining it up and all that. So
it takes them a long
time. It does take a long time.
Especially when you get the kids' famous Epirmon.
Yes.
3 days later, you're still Epirmon.
Or maybe Catherine.
AJ is really fast.
AJ is super
and
fast.
AJ will help them.
Yes. Yeah, when they're done, they can help their friends.
Okay, that's my favorite. Like I used to do that day 2 or 3. It takes at least an hour.
And I've also done
it really helps.
I've done it with beans, and I've done it sometime a couple years ago at Halloween. I had a group that was really struggling with their names, and so at Halloween I did it with candy corn. And so I traced their name out, and then they get to glue them on. So
she also did it. She had little pieces of rug and carpet, and then they also could do the push pin and also push pin around their letters for kiddos who really were having issues with reversals and stuff too.
Kindergarten Works had one where she did it as an edible one as well.
See, we weren't allowed to do any snacks or food unless they were fruits or veggies.
Well, I'm saying, I thought you said the push pin.
Oh, yes, yes.
That's what she has.
You can use toothpicks too.
One of my students' favorite things is I take a picture of them and I do Mickey Mouse ears, and I put their name, like you've been to Disney, your name's on the front. And then this is just on a piece of paper, and they Velcro the little ears on their head, so it's, me and then my name is on my hat. And they love to do that all year long. Like they'll take it out and do it in the pocket chart. And if you don't have a Mickey Mouse die cut, they have those cute little paint samples at Home Depot that already have little Mickey Mouse shapes. So, and the kids love that.
I do sentence pats for my kids' names, like the kids that are already
registered and on my class list, I'll highlight their names and send strips. That way it also helps me learn the 20 of my kids' names. And one year I did highlighter where I highlighted their names, so then they got to practice with the pencil how to trace their name. And then one year I did stickers, the little tiny smiley face stickers, and I have them keep it there on their table so that each day they can wear it, and it helps me internalize their names throughout the first 2 to 3 days, and then the other teachers can learn their names too.
Something I've done for centers is I've taken their picture and then written their name on 2 separate things, and then they can make a memory game out of it. And then there's one last year I did, and I took those pictures and put them all on one piece of paper, and then as a writing center, I had 3 or 4 pictures with just lines. So they would take the paper and go to their friends' desks, glue on the picture, and then write their friends' names. And they really, really enjoyed that.
I've also done the clothespins. So on the sentence strip, I'll write their name, and then on the clothespins, I write the letter, so they have to match the clothespin to the letter. So it's good for their fine motor and working on their names and letter recognition.
I like to just take the sentence strip and cut it apart and make it like a puzzle, so they have to put it back in the right order.
We do that with graphing, one of the first weeks so the kids can see whose name is on
And how many letters they have.
Y'all may already do this, but chrysanthemum, I send a letter home, and the parents write about why they named their child that, and so then the child gets, and why it's special, so like.
And we put it in books.
We put it in the scrapbooks.
I do, what's the book? Chicka Chicka Boom Boom, and then we make a class book out of it. So they get to see, so-and-so and so-and-so, who do you see? I see Charlotte looking at me, and I have a picture of Charlotte's name on there. So it's another way to associate their friends' names. And that book is the most read book for the entire year.
So since we've talked about Chicka Chicka Boom Boom a little bit, why don't we talk about letters and maybe some ideas and activities that we use to work on letter recognition at the beginning of the year. Maybe some Chicka Chicka Boom Boom activities. Last year, I blew up balloons, and I cut out some letters and I rolled them up and I stuck them in the balloon, and I blew them up, so I had 26 balloons in our classroom, and the kids got to pop them. And whenever they popped it, they got to pull out the letter, and they had to name the letter, and then we put them in the pocket chart. We had to put them in the right order. And so we did that at the end of the week. That was like our big celebration of Chicka Chicka Boom Boom. And they loved it.
That's cute.
They had a blast.
Did they like jump on them? Because I never had good luck with them popping.
We kind of talked about like you're just going to kind of sit on it, and I had scissors with me, and so if we had a few that wouldn't pop, I would just pop them. Yeah, and they loved it. We had a blast. We also do the letter hunt in the sand, so I have a bucket of sand, and I put my magnetic letters in the sand, and they dig through and pull out a letter, and then they can identify and we stick it on the board. This Walmart right up the road, I was there one day, and they had colored sand from Crayola, and so I got green and pink for the Chicka Chicka Boom Boom. But apparently, like, Crayola has discontinued the sand, and so people were amazed that I even had it, like, at Walmart. And so, like, it's probably highly toxic or something. We're going to have pink and green sand for Chicka Chicka Boom Boom this year.
I was going to say, if they discontinued, I had that in my room way back when I was in pre-K, which was probably 10, 15 years ago.
Well, my Walmart had it, so I'm blaming Walmart.
I'll just warn you, it's very fine, and when it gets on the floor, it can be very slippery. So heads up.
Just like glitter.
Yeah, it was everywhere, but it was fun.
Well, that's all that matters.
Yeah, it's fun.
It freaked me out when he told me he was going to buy it. I was like, colored sand? Really? Isn't that going to stain everything? And
No, it
it didn't stain anything?
Yeah, no, it didn't. It was fun.
Very cool.
But it was slippery. That was the big thing. I found it to be so slippery. I had one bag and it lasted me the whole year. I was like, spill it.
So she was just telling me, so was it last week on the blogger day, we started with a circle map, and I always start with the sound first. I want the kids to kind of focus on the sound, and they would come up with words that started with that sound, and then I would draw them on the circle map, and I would have them identify the sound, And then I would say, how do you spell at? And they would say A. And so then I would write an A, and then I would write out the rest of the words. Like if it was apple, they would say at, and I would say, how do you spell at? And they would say A, so I would write the A, and then I would say P-P-L-E. Then we'd read the word and identify the sound. So we did circle maps for every letter. We did handwriting. We did the silly hats for every letter, which are great beginning of the year. It's great for cutting, fine motor, gluing. I get a lot of questions about how long do the hats take. And at the beginning of the year, they take a little bit of time, the first week especially. But after that, the kids get really quick at it. And then, that's it. So the circle maps, the handwriting, the silly hats. And then several days, we tried to do like little fun things. So like for M, all the kids wore, like they had a mustache, so they would wear something for that. Then at the end, after the 26 days, we celebrated with a fashion show. And the kids, we made little vests out of grocery bags, the paper grocery bags, and every kid got a letter. And it worked out last year perfectly that we had 52 kindergartners. So we had 2 sets of 26. They took the bag home and they decorated it with pictures for their letter. And then they came back in and we played Madonna, and they got to walk the runway and model their bags. And it was really awesome because several of our really, really shy kids, like when they got up to walk that runway, like they worked that runway. And so it was really good for them, kind of as a confidence booster for them. And it was an easy project they could do at home, so it was a great early project to bridge that gap. My favorite one, the little boy had Z, and his mom took a picture of him passed out in the back seat of the car one day after school. Like he got in the car rider line and he was out. And that was one of the pictures on his bag, and she wrote Z, like him snoring. It was so cute. And then all the kids got some dog tags and a camouflage helmet and a certificate at the end.
Do you start with A and just
Yep,
you
start with
follow
A.
alphabet?
Yep, I started on the first full week of school. Start with A, and we just go through all 26 letters.
What do you recommend for schools that have a program, like hardcore or that, because the school that I work at, no, we have to. But I worked at a school for 10 years that had nothing, and now, you know, I have to teach this letter on this week, and what do you recommend to bring that?
I would kind of do maybe some of the same ideas of the boot camp.
But you have to do one letter a week.
Yeah.
You're teaching them until March.
Yeah, that's.
But you can teach them.
Could you do it like?
Teach a letter,
introduce
and still do
You
that?
can introduce them that
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm
They
thinking, call it
can.
introducing.
Yeah.
Just let that be your feature letter for the week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and I really like the phonics dance. Jenny Dowd does
I
the
love
phonics
the
dance,
phonics
and I would just teach. You can just teach them the chants for each of the letters. I mean, you have the movements, you have all the good modalities that it touches on. So
There's just no time, there's not a lot of extra time, that's the problem. Not that I mind getting off the script, it's just there's no time when they come in, you know.
I was at a school in Texas last month, and they had the same thing. And so they decided that they're going to wait. They're going to do boot camp for the first 26 days. Then after that, they're going to start.
Right, because you have Smart Start that comes with it, that,
So,
and it's basically like we zoom through the thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I could talk people into waiting 26
yeah, so
days,
they were going to push that back.
which is smart.
Yeah, and then they were going to go in and go ahead and still do the program, but they were going to just push it off.
Something that I would, go ahead.
and say back to the. I know you mentioned not having enough time, but back to the time thing. If you do whether it's that or following the foundations or something, just a quick review every day, even from the first day. Starting and doing it with them every single day, even if you're doing it and they just join in as they learn it.
No,
then
we
you're getting
do
that
all the
level.
letters every day, like we do Jack Hartman and Heidi, we do all the songs, so don't think I'm just like, I'm only talking one. We have not
Like it's
written
March,
any other
it's
letters,
still
we're March, we got that down.
Yeah.
So I swear we do other songs and all that stuff.
Well, I can only do a letter a week also, and something that I've had as fun as a mystery item, so the kids can, so the kids bring in something that begins with that letter, and then they have to give clues about it. And then the children will guess what it is. And it really helps with their language skills and speaking and everything like that, and I love it.
Just shut your door, have a set of plans that says what you're supposed to do, and just have that secret plan that's on the backside.
It's hard when you're working on a team and you're trying to be a team player.
It's hard.
But even something like that, it's what, 15 minutes though, that you could really condense it.
Yeah, you can do it
Get it in
quick.
there, because even a team, like, not everything's going to be 100% the same. So that'd be something, because to me, that is
really, really nice.
so important.
No, I agree.
Get all the letters in there.
And it was interesting because last year we just kind of did it. Like we didn't really think much about it. We kind of jumped into it. And then everybody was like, ooh, oh, can you make that a product? So now I have the product on TPT. And when I was working on the product, I wanted to include research. And I can't remember the name of the study, but there was a big study that was done. And they actually found that, it's a little complicated, but basically they said like the maximum optimal time for kids to learn the letters is like 20 to 37 days. And so 26 days falls right in the middle of that. So there's letter a day is actually optimal for kids. And they had some data from a couple of schools, same demographics, same district. One school did letter a day, one did letter a week. And they use dibbles, and the kids who did letter a day, their dibble scores were tremendously higher. So there's a lot of research that supports that. And I can send you the, I need to post that because I get a lot of questions about that, so I need to post that on my Facebook.
Do you happen to know where it was?
I just Googled letter a day research and it came
I'm sure
up.
it's
So I have it. I have the link, so I'll post it. It was like a 30-page study. Like they had all kinds of information in there, but the big takeaway was that letter a day was optimal.
Well, we're trying that, so.
And that's what, I'm newer at this school, so when you come in, it's hard when you've been doing something one way, and then you go into a team. And that's something me and her are on board, and we're trying to get everybody to, but it's like, oh, I've always done letter a week. It's like, I understand that. You can still do your letter a week, but let's get them taught and out there and done in the first few weeks. And if you want to keep on with it, keep on with it. But
That was a conversation that we had to have with our group, and finally we kind of boiled it down to, my biggest thing was when we do Ames Web,
right
at the beginning of September, we at least have already done at least 15 or 20 letters, so they might know those, and we might get more accurate data on who we need to intervene with during our intervention
when they're
time.
reading so much earlier. I mean, our kids need to be reading by December, but if you're on letter 15, December,
Yes.
I mean,
And then at the end of the year, you're still learning letters, and it's like,
And then administration says, well, you still have to do all the letters. Okay,
Right.
well, there has to be give and take.
No, then you
can't
couldn't
tell us
do
what it is,
O,
but then give us a
yeah.
program.
E,
You gotta cram
felony,
it. Yeah.
we couldn't do that
right,
really
gotta
quick.
get those all at the end.
Yeah.
We already get fast testing in January, so we better be on a certain reading level by then.
right. And how can you do that for teacher learning?
Oh,
It just
right.
it doesn't.
We're giving assessments the second day of school,
Oh, yeah.
you know, the baseline tests and stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not even in the door with you now.
So this is kind of interesting because somebody had written down about pacing. And so it's kind of interesting to hear people talking about the different things. So I know in Metro we have pacing guides. So they're done by 9 weeks. So they kind of tell us what skills we have to teach that 9 weeks. They don't necessarily tell us how we have to teach them. They do give some suggestions, maybe some books to read. And then it tells us what maybe 5 or 6 skills have to be assessed for the report card for that 9 weeks. So we kind of know what we're expected to do that 9 weeks. We have a lot of freedom to do how we want to do it. Of course, we do have our reading and math series that we're supposed to use. And that's fine. Yeah,
It's in your room.
it's in my room. So people from other counties and even other states, is that something that you guys have? Do you have district curriculum and pacing guides?
Yes, we do. I know most of us in here are from Sumner County, and maybe some of us have been in Sumner County when we didn't have a pacing guide. And when we do our pacing guide, our scope of work is pretty rigorous. And would you all agree? Yes. And it's pretty much, I wish, you said that you only have 5 or 6 mastery skills. I wish we just had 5 or 6 mastery skills.
I think the
And
least
ELA.
order is about 10. That's the way it feels anyway.
So for us, it feels like, and I don't know about you all, and please interject, but I feel like we have to start rigor day one, and I feel like we miss a lot of the boat of the steps in the process. And I feel like it's hard for us to lay the foundation. When we have to put the footers. It's very difficult. I know our scope of work, there's a lot that we have to teach. There's a lot of books that we have to do. And it almost is mapped up for us. It almost takes the guesswork out. And
in some ways, I see good in it, and then in other ways, I want to just close my door and do the same thing. And that's what we usually end up doing. We can be in your school. I know. Hey, it's not a surprise.
Right?
I do my job. I do it well.
And the kid, you know, that's it. We do our jobs, we do it well, and the kids make progress and show growth.
I was hired to teach the children. and
Exactly.
I was called to teach the children, not the process.
Amen.
It's hard to look at the scope of work and know in the back of your mind, they're just 5.
Right.
They just were potty trained 2 years ago.
That's our biggest thing.
Some said
Two of us.
I had 7 that are not even potty trained. So yeah.
But our
Some of
scope
the
of work is
questions.
very demanding.
Yes, and so we were a little like, okay, which people do you want us to teach about? And they never really said. Or like, people talking forum board was more helpful. Yeah.
Well, and what scope of work leaves out is that Common Core and state standards are designed to be mastered by the end of the school year. They're not designed to be mastered in 6 or 9 weeks. So you've got to remember to base that grade that we are giving, which I don't think we should give kindergarten, first, second grade. You're basing it, you need to remember to base that grade on, yes, they're working, they're progressing. They're not meant to be mastered by that, no matter what scope of work.
I try to tell the parents that it's an
It's an ongoing.
And in kindergarten, I feel like we're a little bit luckier in that we have to reassess those standards and give them a new grade every quarter. You know, if they don't know their alphabet quarter 1.
They're gonna grade out, once you've done it like 1 or 2 times,
No.
they're gonna grade out the rest of their
Of
portfolio.
course they
You
are.
just broke my heart.
Sorry.
Devastating. You need another one.
Right.
So I don't know about all of you, but I mean, I know I got really lucky.
Except for that older lady that.
It's a similar to a lot of stuff we've got.
Did you have Miss Donna?
Was that Miss, I did not
I
have
had
Miss
Miss
Donna.
Donna.
Was she the older lady?
Yes.
She is one of the, one of
She's
the
the author.
Yes.
One of the authors.
She is also the co-author, I'm gonna date myself here, of Box It, Bag It. Do y'all know what Box It, Bag It math is?
We haven't.
I do. It's like hands-on before hands-on was
Hands-on.
hands-on. So it was just to be in a room with greatness.
A couple people wrote down phase-in. And so I know some places they do phase-in for kindergarten. In Metro, we do 2 half-days with kindergarten, and then we start full days after that.
No, you do your testing.
We start on a Monday and we go the whole week.
Do you have your class immediately?
Yep. We get all of our kids, everybody on the first half-day.
So you started testing your kids already.
Their place.
No, it's just kind of random, they get assigned. My principal is really good that once we do our assessment and kind of get an idea, if somebody's class is really high or really low, we can shift kids around and balance it out.
We've actually already started our testing. Like this summer, we started testing kids this week to see who knows what letters, sounds, sight words, numbers.
We start
Who
Monday,
can read.
and we start pulling kids Monday afternoon.
I spent 4 hours doing that this morning, even Friday over here.
We do all of that during the school day.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
So does anybody do the phase-in where like you get certain, like 5 kids on Monday, 5 on Tuesday?
We don't, we did boys and girls,
Used
so
to.
on the first day we'll have boys, next day we'll have girls. We have 25 total, about 25 per class, so we do have to.
So do you-
Boys, girls.
Okay.
For 4 days, and the 5th day, we'll have all there.
Okay.
Yes, we do a third, and a third, and then half and half.
I guess we're lucky in that respect. Monday and Tuesday, our children on registration nights, they actually sign up for a 20-minute time slot. And they come to test on Monday or Tuesday on that 20-minute time slot, and then they leave. And then only the girls come on Wednesday, and they actually come to their teacher. And we actually proposed this to our principal, and he was wonderful, and said, hey, let's try it.
How does the hours work out?
They
Show all the
come-
children.
7:45
to 2:45. Same time, no, but they're missing that first week.
Well, no, all the girls come on Wednesday, and they stay all day, and it's just a small.
But those boys didn't have that day.
The boys
Our
come
county,
on Thursday.
our county allows it for the first week, as long as we have children in our the classrooms
Yes.
every day that week.
And the boys come on Thursday, and it's just the boys, and they come to their actual teacher, and then Friday, everybody comes.
All
But you
twenty-five.
also have
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
And she comes to kindergarten.
We have half come one day and we do testing during that day. And then we have half come and then they do the same thing. And then they come meet the teacher on Friday.
Which is just as hard to try and test on the first day of school. I mean, they don't have any, like, you know, they talk about some schools I know don't have nap time. It's like,
We don't
but
have.
that's when I do intervention and testing. Or it's like, when else would I do it? If you're not gonna give me free centers anymore, then you have to give me something, so I can do it.
Wait, you have nap time?
It's called intervention time, where the kids lay down for about 25 minutes. But that's,
So doesn't the kid that needs the nap the most need the intervention the most?
but it's great, so when I'm doing the reading test, you know, for my low babies who can't handle it during reading groups, I do it during nap time, because it's way quieter during nap time than she can reading groups. But they took away free centers from us this year.
It's actually a really good thing to have the mommy or the daddy come for those first 20 minutes to get through the.
Keeps them calm.
Well, then it makes it really scared to
Yeah.
just then they go home. So the anxiety.
Like, what can I for that?
Somebody asked about how long do you teach procedures for centers?
Until they know.
Right, all year. But I do all of mine. We start centers the second week of school, and we'll spend about 2 or 3 weeks really working on the procedures before the kids are kind of turned loose. But that whole time, I'm not doing any small groups or anything. I'm out and about monitoring and working with the kids. And I always tell people to watch for the pumpkins. And by October, like, things have settled and everything is flowing smoothly. So it takes quite a while to really get those procedures and expectations. But I always tell new teachers, watch for the pumpkins, because it's going to be a rough road until about October.
There's a
But
great
by October,
book
it settles.
by Jan Richardson, the 6-week, it's a guided reading book. You got
Yeah.
Jan Richardson. But in the book, she talks about the 6 weeks to independence. And that's a great procedure. Like, if you're at a table and you're not going to get up from your table, and it really does. If you follow that 6 weeks, which is so hard because you want to start doing your groups and it feels so long, but if you do that, your year is so good.
If you get those procedures
Yes.
in place at the beginning, you make up
It's
all of the
Jan
time
Richardson,
later.
it's a guided reading. It's on Amazon. She's amazing. And all her videos, you can watch her do them on her blog, on her page, and she has all of her lessons.
And the next steps to guided reading.
There you go, let's go.
Yeah.
Our old county, she lived there and she trained us like once a month. It was amazing.
I do, for beginning, when I start centers, I do Legos and puzzles and things that they can do independently and successfully,
That's what
so that we're only working on the procedures. We're not necessarily working on the academics. So we can focus on how to do it, how to go to centers, what center do we go to, how to clean up, where does everything go, what do I do when I'm finished.
They have to learn to stay in the spot.
Yeah, that's big. It's you get your center, you sit
And
down.
I'm gonna
you
play
have to
with
do
those
it.
cars.
Well,
But-
that's a big push with Daily 5 too, that's building that stamina
Yeah.
to stay in that center and to work on that center, whether it's Legos or whether it's, your first hardware work. But it's building that stamina from 30 seconds to 2 minutes to 5 minutes to 10 minutes.
Somebody also said center transitions. I don't transition our centers. I did where we did like 15 minutes, we'd clean up and everybody moved to a new center, but we lost so much time. Even on the good days when we cleaned up and moved, we were still losing 5 or 10 minutes. So we don't transition. So my kids have choices. So they'll go to 2 centers, and within those 2 centers are tons of choices. So they're in that center for the whole time.
I have a Lakeshore Learning one where it's the 5 main ones, so it's word work, I do an art a week, and whatever my 5 things are, it's like ABC, word work, phonics, writing, and an art project. And they have it on top, and then the 2 underneath they can go to. And then every day I switch them over. And it's the most visual thing. And the kids know they have to do that top one because that's the paperwork. And then the other 2 are more hands-on, different activities. But it's great for kindergarten.
Do you do meet with me when the kids are at centers, or is everybody at a center?
Everybody's at centers and then all groups.
Okay.
Yeah.
I prefer that too, because then you're not stuck to a time limit.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever, this group was fast today.
Are they quiet? Are they loud?
No.
But not loud where you can't work with
Oh,
your
no,
children?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's a buzz and noise. Some days, I mean, Starl's been there. Some days it's good, some days. If you watch one of my videos of centers on my YouTube, like people have commented how quiet they are. And I'm like, that just happened. Like, it was a fluke. Like, and the next day it would have been total opposite. But I don't mind them talking and like that tells me they're learning and doing stuff, so, yeah. But,
Do you not feel like you're constantly stopping and telling them, you get busy, you get going, talking?
I've been lucky so far the past few years. My kids have been really good. I think it's a lot of procedure, expectation, a lot of choices too. My kids have so many choices and freedom. I think they're empowered and it keeps them engaged. So
Because they're doing what they want to do.
right, they're doing what I want them to do, but they're still doing what they want to do, and I think that's the key in our classroom.
I'm struggling with letting go of control.
Got to give up the
And it's
control.
like, doing what I told them to do and how to do it, like I said.
Did you hear, you got rid of tables?
Oh yeah, I have no tables, no desks.
Okay, is this the first year?
This will be my second year. I did it last year.
Okay, so tell me how that worked. I would love to know.
Well, I just jumped into it last year. Like, my friend Erin Klein on Kleinspiration, she did it with older kids, and I had the world's smallest room, and it was the shape of a W. Like, it's bizarre.
Okay.
So I needed space, so I went to my principal and I'm like, I want to get rid of my tables, and he was like, okay, go for it. He's like, what do you want from me? I'm like, well, let's keep the tables in storage just in case this goes really bad. But I started. We got bath mats from Target and Walmart because I wanted the rainbow, so I had to go to 2 places, and clipboards.
Okay.
And they do everything on the floor. So on the first day, I already had rugs and clipboards laid out.
So they still have their space.
Yep. And so the first day, I met the kids, and I'm like, okay, now go find the carpet, and I want you to sit down and color. So we started the first day. But everything's been on the floor, no tables. At first I kept 2 tables, but I quickly got rid of one of them because nobody used it. But I did keep one, and in my new classroom I have one.
Do you make them sit on their bottom, or do they lay on their bellies?
They can do whatever, they can stand on their head. I don't care as long as they're working. And that behavior last year was tremendously better. They're more engaged,
Your
more
ADHD
focused.
kids
I mean,
do great.
I had a little boy who would lay on his stomach during calendar time and move and kick like a swimmer. If he'd been sitting in a chair or even on the carpet with us, he would have drove people crazy. It was phenomenal.
Now, does everyone do this or just you?
Just me.
Okay, so I guess I've always wondered, like, going to first grade, you being first grade, how do those kids transition into seeing this?
Well, what I always tell people is they sit in chairs and stuff in the cafeteria and music and art and guidance, so they're still getting experience and exposure to sitting in.
And you haven't had any backlash as far as?
The first grade teachers last year didn't.
She left.
I'm gone now. But I think I don't foresee it being an issue.
But I think first grade teacher that still uses tables, and we still go from the floor to the table to the floor to center.
There's like the same.
We're moving all day long.
The same conversation with the glue sponges, and people are like, wait, it's your responsibility to teach them the bottles. And I'm like, wait, we do, but it's not really.
Right.
Right, it's not our responsibility really to teach them to sit at a desk for 8 hours. Like, that's the tricky part.
Glue sponges? Okay. Just pour a bottle of glue in the container.
Do this 10 days prior.
Yeah, they need time to soak, so you might want to do it soon. Then you put a sponge on top, pour another bottle of glue on top, and then they soak. And so then when the kids need to glue,
Okay, they're kind of wrapping up in here, so
touch the paper and
are giving you a fun giveaway.
and they last all year.
Never gets like.
I made mine today.
I've got my stuff, I need to make mine.
Oh, yeah, I forgot
Water.
to Listerine.
On Fridays, I spray it with water and
waiting them to wrap.
the water keeps them moist and the Listerine
about
about
blue sponges.
I've also heard people will do tea tree oil, but I've also heard people say that we have to be careful with the tea tree oil.
Those types of things, those hot topics.
But yeah, they last
Everyone loves to talk about, so.
All right, so it is 7:30, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. I need everybody to kind of stay where you are. We're going to bring you some swag bags, but I need you not to open them, okay? I know we're teachers, and I know it's hard. I know it's hard to follow directions, but if you'll just hold on to them
And just so everybody knows, who's heard of Periscope? All right, so you're live on Periscope right now.
Hey guys.
Everybody's been waiting for the swag bags. They kind of caught the end. There's 139 watching right now. So they're all saying hi. Saying their sponges are marinating in the glue right now.
No, I mean, no, I like this. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm always like to retake that now.
Do you need my help? You got it.
Yes, I'm a good teacher membership.
I'm going to channel my inner Oprah.
That's fine.
So people on Periscope are saying, "Oh my God, is it a car?"
But if you can hotwire this, nice car sitting around there.
We all get to take a break. You're gonna come back.
I'll come here faster.
You can sit anytime you want. All of our classrooms tell us what we need.
Okay, did everybody get a bag?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to do two things.
Okay.
So in your bag, first of all, there's a little card. If you'll pull that out.
This one?
Yeah.
This one? The thank you card?
Yes. Everybody gets $10 to my teacher store. You're welcome. So that's just my way of thanking you for coming out and hanging out tonight. So if you'll just email me what you want, I'll send you the files. All right. All right. So does everybody here know what ESGI is?
Yes.
Okay. ESGI is an online, it's computerized assessment software, and it's great because it's done one-on-one. It's quick. It'll save you about 400 hours a year. Last year I did my report card assessments all in one day. The great thing about it is there's already assessments created for every standard. And like if you're in Metro, you can like see standards or tests created by other Metro teachers. Same with whatever districts you're in. And then if you want, you can create your own tests. It's phenomenal. Highly recommend it. It's $200 a year per teacher.
How much?
200.
Who uses it? Does anybody use it right now?
We have the privilege of blending
Okay,
in
so-
any of your functions.
Open your bag, and there's a folded piece of paper. And if you open it and read it, it says that everybody here gets a free So, that's such a phenomenal company. So they're such a phenomenal company. We work with them a lot. And so we told them about the first board meeting, and they said, well, if we have another one, why don't you give everybody that comes a free year? So a big thank you to ESGI for this. ESGI is actually watching right now. Yeah, so we love ESGI.
ESGI says they love teachers, they love to save you time.
So the directions are on there. Everybody has their own activation code. If you've done the 60-day free trial and you already have that, you can just go in and activate it, and it will kick in for the full year. So
Thank you, Jason, for pulling plugs with ESG.
You're welcome. They say you get Melinda from ESGI says you get 400 hours of your life back this year. So if you will, just be sure if you're on social media, just give a shout out to them, you know, to say thank you, and maybe tag us, you know, just to give us a little bit of hello too.
And so for all the people on Periscope who are watching, we don't want you to be left out. If you want ESGI, it's $200 a year, but if you use the code B2442, you will actually get $50 off. So for those of you who are watching and you're interested, the code is B2442, and it'll give you a $50 discount, so it'll be like $150 a year.
Signature 60-day free trial for the beginning of the year. It's a perfect time to try it out for 60 days. If you like it, B2442. I see people are typing in the wrong code. It's B, B as in boy, 2442. There you go. And then you get $50 off.
Also tell teachers at your school that they can use that code.
So, yay!
Well, thanks guys for coming. I hope you
I think you got there.
Yeah. And there's plenty of food in there, so please, everybody go eat anything.
Hey, you were right, so we can get a picture.
That code is ongoing. You don't have to worry about it expiring.
All right.
Well, I think so.
Nice.
Yeah.